So for today's agenda, what we are going to do is we are going to cover understanding of SOC, which is Security Operations Center, quick bits into vulnerability management, incident response, digital forensic, threat hunting, threat intelligence. We give like an overview because it's like a 2 hours masterclass. So we'll quickly give overview for these. We'll talk about Wireshark also and talk about SIM solution, which is Splunk. Okay, we are going to do these things. Perfect. So first thing first, Security Operations Center. SOC definitely stands for Security Operations Center. SOC is your, I would say it's a centralized business unit. If you talk about SOC, it's a centralized business unit which is helpful in terms of identifying, detecting, you know, mitigating or responding against the incidents, right? So that's what your SOC does. So it's more of a, as I mentioned, centralized unit, right? What it does, um, yeah, we can say, for example, see when you go to a mall, you see multiple floors are there, right? And every floor has a CCTV camera, isn't it? Every floor in that building has a CCTV camera. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. Maybe more can be there from different angles. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the point is, if in each floor, let's suppose in each floor, there are rooms, individual rooms for every camera footage. So there's one room in which we have one system. In that system, one person is monitoring it. Okay, that footage. Another system, another person is monitoring it. Same way for all of them. Now, the thing you can see is these people are, first of all, many individuals are required over here for one kind of an activity, and they do not relate with each other. Like there's no communication between C7, C8, C3, C4, nothing like that. They cannot communicate. Maybe any thief can go from C3 to C4, but they will not know about it. C4 would not have any idea that there was a thief in C3. He will treat that person as a normal individual. Because if there is an individual, let's suppose, and he stole something from this floor and he jumped into C4, okay, into this floor, and for this person who is monitoring the C4 camera, for that person, that individual would be like a normal person because that stealing was done in C3. Correct? Getting your point what I'm trying to say? So there is no correlation between them. The thing is, what do you think is more of a better approach? This one, or there is one common room which is for the security room in which multiple screen or one screen will be there where many footage of these different cameras footage are being displayed, and you're monitoring from that one room. Which one is more better, this individual approach or this centralized approach? I hope this makes sense what I'm trying to say. This is how your SOC works basically. So now what happens, the logs which are being, let's suppose the logs which are from your router, firewall, right, database, web applications, you know so different log sources are there. They are being monitored, they are being sent into this one centralized place. From there, all of those things are being monitored, and they can be related with each other. Let's suppose if there is any malicious IP, which is any IP which is being, or which is performing any kind of an attack in an application, so you can see those logs in the firewalls also. You can make a correlation over there. Correct? That this person is doing this kind of an activity and this is the IP which we can block now, right? So that is what SOC does. So for that also we have a SIM solutions which help us to attain these kind of an activities. Not just SIM, we have multiple more. So we do detection. Okay, detection is there to detect any malicious activity which is happening. Okay, that can help you to get that. It helps us to respond to those kind of malicious activities so that we can block them before they can actually succeed. So when we talk about SOC, it contains multiple things, right? That's why I've mentioned the second section, which was quick bit into vulnerability management, incident response, threat detection, oh sorry, threat intelligence, threat hunting. These are part of your SOC. Okay, yeah. So that's what a SOC is. So as you can see in the image also on the right hand side, log collection is there. See, log collection, aggregation, correlation. You're correlating different logs with each other to make a sense out of it, right? SIEM solution is there, like Splunk, security information and event management. So they help us. This SIM is basically the heart of your SOC, we can say, okay, where all those logs are being sent, and from here we can monitor and detect things. Ticketing systems are there, so any malicious activity happens. Okay, so what happens over here? You raise the ticket and pass it to your senior ones. So for example, if I tell you, L1, L2, L3, these posts are there. L3 or incident responder, you can say like that. Different organization have different approach. Now you might have seen whenever you are raising a complaint for any, maybe bad network or something like that, when you call a customer care, and now when they're not able to, they message you, or they send you this kind of a message also, and they tell you that we are raising your ticket, right, and it will be resolved soon. So what do? They raise the ticket and pass it to this IT team or their technical team, which will um, you know handle that query for you, right, or your issue. Similarly, what happens when the alerts are generated? Okay, alert as in like someone is trying to perform some malicious activity. Someone is trying to guess a password, made multiple login failed attempts. Alert will pop up, and that alert will go to L1 analyst. Okay, if he is able to handle it, great. Not, we'll pass it to L2. We'll try to perform some advanced incident response activities. If it's more of a serious thing, okay, more of a big kind of an attack, then they will raise a ticket. So here tickets are being raised, okay, with their research and finding. So they will, whatever the researches they have done, whether this IP is safe or not, whether it is a green flag or red flag, whether this domain has previous history of attacks or not, like that. So those histories will be attached to it, and then L2 will also prioritize that kind of a incident, whether it is high, medium, or low, and then pass it to incident responders. Then they will handle that incident for them. They will try to mitigate it, remove its existence, and try to put the systems back into the safe environment. So these raising the ticket and ticketing systems happen in your SOC. Awesome, great. So SOC as in Security Operations Center, as I mentioned, it's a centralized business unit, and it has all those facilities which are helpful or which are responsible in terms of continuously monitoring. I'll write that, monitoring, detecting, analyzing, and responding as well to cybersecurity threats, we can say, in the organization. So it works like a frontline defense against the cyber attacks, making sure that security incidents they are handled in a more efficient manner, right? So that is SOC. Why SOC? Because we all know with the increasing complexity of cyber threats, organization they need to have this dedicated team to monitor and defend against cyber security breaches in real time, right? So SOC help us to prevent those kind of financial loss, data breaches, and reputational damage by making sure we have a security measures in place, and we have a rapid incident response process as well. So we have proactive as well as reactive approaches ready, right? So it is important. Continuous monitoring should be there in terms of importance. 24/7 surveillance of systems and network, threat detection as well, right? So it's helpful in terms of identifying the cyber threats and vulnerabilities before they can cause any harm. Incident response is also there, so which helpful. We'll talk about it. So quick actions are there to contain and mitigate the cyber attacks. Compliance and regulations as well, as I would say. So it makes sure that we are adherence to industry security standards and helpful in risk management. So it reduces the impact of security incidents on business operations. right? Now, as I mentioned, quick bits. Perfect. Now we have vulnerability management as well. So vulnerability management, when we talk about, it's an ongoing process, I would say, of identifying. Here I will just write it. Identifying, assessing, prioritizing, and also mitigating your security vulnerabilities. Mitigating security vulnerabilities, right? So what help does this vulnerability management does? So it makes sure that weaknesses are addressed before any cyber attacker or any malicious attacker can exploit or take an advantage of it. Okay. See, why vulnerability management is there? Because new vulnerabilities are discovered every day, isn't it? And attackers, they constantly look for ways to exploit them. So without a proper vulnerability management program, organizations, they remain at a high risk of cyber attacks, of data breaches, and those system failures as well. Now think about it. Um, okay, let's suppose we have vulnerabilities, right? Let's suppose you own a house. You have a house, okay, and want to keep it safe and well maintained. So in that house, what would be the vulnerabilities? What would be the weaknesses or flaws? What could be there? So if these kind of a thing, if these kind of a thing are left unfixed, what would happen? Your burglars, here we are considering burglars are hacker only. Okay. So your burglars can do what? Or even I would say natural disasters can also be part of it. Any, those kind of thing. They can cause us major damage. Natural disaster would be like any system failure, that kind of a thing. Okay. So these things need to be checked. So what you can do, you perform vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability scanning, I would say, is like a regular home inspection where professionals they check for weak spots in your house, and that house we are considering as an organization, right? Then your risk assessments are also done. Risk assessment and prioritization as well. So it is like we are deciding which repair need to be done first, like which repairs are urgent. So maybe a broken front door lock. So it's a critical vulnerability, right? So it needs fixing immediately. While any small paint chip, which is low risk issue, can wait, isn't it? So that thing is done. Then your patching and remediation is done. Patching and remediation. So it's like repairing the broken lock, sealing the cracks, and fixing the wiring to make the house secure. And finally, we go for the continuous monitoring. Monitoring. So it makes sure that new houses are, or new issues, sorry, it makes sure that new issues are first of all detected and addressed quickly. Just as, homeowners, they regularly checks for leaks, pests, or damages like that. So this is what happens in your vulnerability management. This is what life cycle is of vulnerability management. This is what I'm trying to convey. So what do? We go for the detection. Okay. So what first of all you will identify in vulnerability management life cycle, if I have to talk about what you do first, you identify what all assets you have in the organization, right? And create a baseline security as well. Baseline are created as well, like minimum level of security and everything. So what all assets are there? Which one are critical assets? Everything you need to first. Asset inventory are maintained in the organization, so you identify assets first. Then after which, on those assets, you perform vulnerability scanning, identify assets and baseline. Then you perform vulnerability scanning. So we use scanners like Nessus, from Tenable it is there. So these scanners will help us to identify the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities, the flaws. So they tell what all vulnerabilities are there. Maybe web application has a vulnerability of SQL injection, cross-site scripting, you know, brute forcing of password like that. It tells you the vulnerabilities as well. So what all vulnerabilities are present in that environment which you're scanning, right? Now you perform the risk management over there. You assess it, prioritize those things. Risk assessment prioritization are done. How much risk we do possess out of that vulnerability, how much damage it can do, right? And then as per that, the vulnerabilities will be prioritized. Which vulnerability need to be fixed first, second, third, and so on. Okay. So which are high risk, which are critical risks, need to be addressed first. Then what we do? We remediate it. We fix it. Implement the patches like this. Implement the patches and everything. Say patching, blocking, or remediating in real time. Right. Once it is done, once it is done, we won't jump to monitor directly. I would say we perform vulnerability scanning once again. So it's a continuous process. So I'm going with the step by step. First step was we identified the assets, okay, which need to be scanned or something like that. Then second step was to identify the vulnerabilities present over there. So we perform vulnerability scanning. Then we perform risk management, right? So that we can remediate it. So basically what we did, we perform risk management and prioritization over here. I mean the pen, yeah. After vulnerability scanning, risk management, yeah, and prioritization, and then go for the remediation, fixing it, right? Fixing that vulnerability which was present. Exactly, I can see Vivek and VY correct. So we perform after fixing it, we perform vulnerability scanning once again so that we can check whether that fix was successful or not. Okay, so we can check with that whether any earlier or old vulnerability is still present or not, whether that fix was successful or not. Clear? So that's why it's like a recheck. And then finally we go for continuous monitoring, which is mentioned over here. Real-time alerts and notification for newly discovered vulnerabilities. Okay. Among yes, making sure that okay, the fix, yes, yeah, the fix was good, the patch was good. It has removed or eliminated that vulnerability basically, right? Then we have next incident response. Okay, two things are there. What is the difference between an event and an incident? Every first statement is every event is an incident, or every incident is an event. Every incident is an event, right? See, event is occurrence of anything, normal thing. That's an event, basically. Anything which happens would be an event. So, if I say I dropped a bottle of water, what that would be? Event or incident? It would be an event, right? But yeah, I dropped a bottle of water, that would be an event. But if I would have said I dropped a bottle of water and it fell on my foot, I got an injury out of it, or water got spilled out, right? Or the bottle was of glass, so it got shattered. Then it would be an incident, right? So any event which has an adverse effect will be called out as an incident, right? So once again, if I say login failure attempts, login failure attempt has been made, event or incident. Chanakya, correct. So if multiple login if I had said that okay, multiple login attempts were there, multiple login failure attempts for one account, okay, and then one successful login, then that means someone has cracked your password, isn't it? That will be called out as your incident. Clear? So in order to take care of that, we have incident response in the place. Incident response has these phases, we can say. This is from NIST also, 80061. So these are phases of incident response. First is preparation. When we are talking about preparation, we mean to say that we are first of all trying to be prepared so that we can thwart the attack on the very first place, okay, or not to let the incident happens on the first place. That will be like preparation, okay, clear? Even if an attack happens, an incident happens, how we are going to handle that, deal with it, that plan also needs to be there. That is also part of a preparation. So having incident response team, having process, procedures, policies in place, all are part of preparation. Okay. So basically our, first of all priority will always be there, that do not let the incident happens on the very first place. In case if it happened, how quickly we are going to fix it, how quickly we are going to handle it, and what all steps we are going to take against it will be part of your, a plan. So that plan is also part of your preparation, right? So if you're trying to crack an exam, you prepare for it. You study beforehand, you look out for the mock tests, you plan how you're going to attempt the questions, what kind of questions you'll attempt first, the majority of a domain you cover first, and then data. So basically that all part of a preparation only, right? If any attack has occurred, obviously we have to detect that as well, right? A detection should be made, isn't it? So if there is a thief is trying to enter into your house, first of all preparation would be that, like, you have locks placed over there, CCTV cameras, sensors are there and everything, motion sensors and all those things. In case if that thief is able to bypass your security measures like locks and everything, so what happens after that? Detection analysis should be there. So sensors were there which can detect the movements. So what they did, they got a movement in the house and they raised an alert and notified to the owner that there's a human movement. Makes sense? So detection has happened, correct? So if, in case if any attack happens, it need to be detected as well, correct? So with detection analysis happens over there. So we check whether it is really an incident or not. Also, we prioritize, like triage is there. We call it incident triage. Okay. Here we validate and verify that incident. We classify that incident as well, what kind of an incident it is, like maybe SQL injection and so on. And then prioritization is also there, right? As per that severity only we'll handle it in the incident response, right? After which it goes for the containment. What do you understand by containment? Mohinder Singh, yeah, correct. Should I? Yeah, exactly. These things will be used over there. Okay, containment. What do you understand by containment after that? Containment, exactly as you guys have mentioned. It's like we're restricting or isolating the system. Yes. So if you take an example of COVID time. So when a person was affected with the coronavirus, what do we do with that person? We isolate that person, right? So that that coronavirus won't spread to other people, right? Similarly, if I say three systems are there, one, two, three, all of them are connected into a quarantine, exactly quarantine, yes, all of them are connected to the same router, okay, all of them. They are in the same network basically. This is what I want to say. Now, if your second system got infected with a malware or something like that, okay, if in the second system it got infected with a malware or something, so what you do, you take that system out of the network. Okay, so you isolate it, you quarantine it. So that if this system got infected with a malware or something, you'll take it out of the network, because that malware could travel into 1 and 2 as well. That's why. So in order to prevent that spreadness, that impact of an incident, we put into a containment, like isolated. So that second system will be in a separate environment, we can say, where we can test against it. So we perform then after that eradication. Eradication as in removing that malware from that system. Okay, like this. So we'll test what kind of a malware it is. Obviously, in a safe environment, sandbox environment, we'll test that malware, check its capabilities, its functionalities, and everything, right? And then we fix it. Fix it would be eradication, would be fixing with the patches and everything like that. Then we go for the recovery. If any data has been lost, that it will be recovered. Then recover basically be using the backups to fix it, right? If any data has been lost, we'll use backups to get that data back. Now, after that, we can see this is pointing again to the detection analysis. Malware was not impacting the router, isn't it? Or that router. If I suppose there's a router, that malware was transferred a phishing email, maybe, right? And it impacted my system. If I'm gonna cut out the entire network of the router, what will happen? Other system which are connected with the router will also get disconnected. My business operation will fail over there. Availability issue will occur, isn't it? So we have to keep that also in mind. Yeah. So this arrow is again pointing out towards the detection analysis over here, right? It is why, because after recovery, we'll closely monitor it for a while to see if there is any reoccurrence of the similar activity or not, which you have fixed right now. If there is any reoccurrence, that means we need to fix it and go through the same steps again. That's why it is mentioned over here. Okay. Then we have post incident activity. Finally, when everything seems to be right, we go for the post incident activity. It would be like your lesson learned. We will say it's a lesson learned. Um, like where we fell short, you know, what went wrong, how we can do better. So documentation will be done, we'll discuss over there. Team will sit around, they will just exactly put the learning over there. Any new security policy need to be implemented, any new security control need to be launched as well, or implemented as well, and how we can make sure this thing never happens again. So that will be part of your lesson learned. So whatever we have learned, we'll fix that gap which was there. And again, that will be part of your preparation only, because whatever you have learned, we'll try to make sure that similar incident or this incident never happens again for future references. Again, that will be part of your preparation, right? Awesome. Now we have digital forensics as well. This is interesting. Okay. Any idea, anyone who can tell me what is digital forensics? You might have seen in every other movie, especially in India, you might have seen that Oscar winning show, which is with the name CID, right? And for others, you might have seen many detective shows and series and, movies. What happens whenever a crime scene happens? In a normal scenario, I'm talking about. Whenever any crime scene happens, what happens over there? They basically go to that particular location, and they'll be wearing their kits, and they keep on starting recording. They will collect the evidences, right? And they will mark that area with the yellow tape so that others cannot enter, right? Only authorized people will be allowed to enter in that area. These things happens, right? And then they collect the evidence, go to the forensic lab, analyze the body, analyze the evidence over there, try to find out what was the cause for it, right? They will uh, find out, like, how that person died, what was the reason behind it, whether that person was shot or poison or something like this. This kind of a thing happens, isn't it? collect samples for the forensic team. Absolutely correct. So similarly, when we talk about digital forensics, this happens the same over there as well. So here also in digital forensics, what we do, we collect the samples or evidences. Our evidences would be like what? Memory, devices, right? These will be our evidences, correct? So that is what we do in the digital forensics as well. So here we will be collecting, we'll be analyzing and preserving also, since these are the evidences, we'll be preserving our digital evidences so that we can investigate that cyber crime or the breaches or any suspicious activities over there, right? So it does what? It helps the organization basically to figure out or to determine what has happened, how it happened, and who was responsible to do that or in that incident, right? So digital forensics is quite useful in cyber attacks or data breaches or any insider threats as well, insider threats especially, right? So when they occur, organization, they actually need a structured way to analyze the evidences, trace the attackers, and to prevent any future incidents, right? So digital forensics makes sure that the team, the security team, they can recover any lost data, right? Uncover malicious activities and also support the legal actions if needed. Okay, so that's why, see, for example, um, when we say if you shift plus delete any data in your system, is it really permanently deleted? Your system does says that this data will be deleted, permanently deleted, but it does it really do that? No, right? Awesome. So perfect. So data forensics, this is what I was talking about. They can help us to make sure that we can recover the lost data, uncover any malicious activity, and also support the legal actions if required, if needed. Okay. So it's quite helpful in terms of incident investigation, help us to determine the cause and impact of security breaches. It's helpful in terms of evidence collection. Okay. It gathers the legal and technical proof for any internal or legal use. Uh, Data recovery, regulatory, and compliance supports are also part of it, right? So digital forensic experts, they are like detectives only, carefully investigating like a crime scene. Okay, like any compromised system is there. Shivani autopsy is also there. Yeah. So computers, servers, logs, like these are the crime scene holding valuable clues about the attack. So forensic tools are there. Autopsy, as Shivani just mentioned, for memory forensics, log analysis, malware analysis. They can act like a fingerprint grids, or your CCTV footage as well can be also utilized, for investigation purpose. So these are there. Okay. And chain of custody is also maintained. If you want a keyword in forensics, which are oftenly used, chain of custody is also there. So it maintains the evidence integrity actually. So it makes sure the digital evidence remains untampered and is admissible in legal proceedings. And then final report is created, like the detective's case file, we can say. So it will be summarizing the findings, identifying the suspects, and recommending the preventive actions as well. Look at that. These are different, but can be inside it, can be included as well. So if you remember in incident response, this containment phase is there, right? After, if you want to place it, you can digital for evidence gathering and digital forensics over here. Okay. After containment, you can go with the evidence collection or evidence gathering and digital forensics. So yeah, different type of data forensics are computer based, network based, database, and mobile devices based. Threat hunting. This is interesting. So absolutely yes, threat hunting is a proactive process for searching for hidden cyber threats that may have bypassed your security defenses. Vamsi, yes, identify the threats which are not detected by rules or finding any IOC in our environment from. Correct. Absolutely. So it's like instead of waiting for alerts cybersecurity experts. They actively analyze systems, networks, and logs to uncover any malicious activity before they can cause any damage. Right. So it is there to decrease the dwell time. Main thing is there to decrease the dwell time. Okay. So see dwell time between infiltration detection, that is the dwell time. So you have protection like you have firewalls, IDS, VPNs, proxies, blah blah, two factor, and so on. Okay. Threat hunting should reduce the gap between protection failure and response as much as possible. So what has happened? These thing has been that whatever the preventive measures were there, they have been compromised. Like they were bypassed, I would say. Right. So it's like okay, if I draw a line, okay, at this point, this protection or preparation was there. Okay. At this point of time, you can say breach happened. Incident response. Now what has happened? Breach was there. Okay. Attack might be there. Okay. Which is there. But it was not detected. So the attacker was living in our environment. So this time period is known as your dwell time. Does this make sense? Dwell time is between the infiltration and detection. So with the hunting, what we are trying to do, we are trying to cut down this dwell time, reduce it as much as possible. So that's why it's a manual and proactive approach. So you know your SIM solutions or your basically your you know detection measures are not working or they're not able to catch it. That's why threat hunting is there to reduce the dwell time. Companies back in the time, not much years ago, has a dwell time of 200 days, 250 days. That means for 250 days, that attacker is living in your environment. That's too much, right? Too much. That's why hunting is there, manually approaching for it, not relying to the automations or security tools which are there because they are unable to detect that. Okay, so we are searching for those hidden cyber threats which may have bypassed our security fences. Clear? So your cyber threats, your advanced cyber attacks, also cyber threats, they can evade your traditional security tools. So that hunting helps us to detect these threats early, preventing any potential breaches and minimizing the damages. Okay, so it's like a proactive security, detects your advanced attacks, reduces your dwell time, that is important. So I'm just writing, pointing those importance for you. Proactive detects advanced attacks, which has bypassed your secure traditional security tools and reduces, very important, dwell time, so that the incident can be detected and response can be taken against it as soon as possible. Okay, so it also enhances your incident response in a way. And with this also we get a learning so that we can prepare better for future. So it strengthens your security posture. A hint I will drop for threat intelligence. Does every country has an intelligence team? That country's intelligence team does what? Helps to prepare for an like to prevent from an attack happens, right? That intelligence team will gather the information about the criminals, right? Or any attack which is being performed by the criminals or any other country. Try to gather those informations, right? And take the preventive measures before that can happen, or do not let that happen on the very first place. Protect the country from the threats. Best. Yeah. Maria, perfect. Report find the threats and exchange information about it. Perfect. Yeah. Understand signal from other country to see if there is any threat. Exactly. Right. So intelligence is a proactive approach. Yes. So here, just like that, see, threat intelligence here, this is kind of a process where we are collecting, analyzing, and sharing information. I will write it. The key pointers: collecting, analyzing and sharing informations about the cyber threats or attacking patterns and attacking malicious actors as well, so that we can help the organization to defend against the cyber attacks. So it gives you the insights into like who is attacking, what their motives are, and how they are operating. So it's like you are knowing your enemy well, so that you can put the safety measures in place so that that enemy won't be able to attack you, right? So that's your threat intelligence. So threat intelligence are there. So because see, cyber threats they are evolving constantly, right? The threat landscape is changing, rapidly changing. So without intelligence on these emerging threats, organization they can remain vulnerable, isn't it? So threat intelligence helps you to predict, prevent, and respond also to cyber threats in an effective manner. See, it's not, I won't say it cannot be in reactive, it cannot be part of reactive, it can be. But generally, the more importance will be given to the proactive approach, right? Because we try to make sure that attack not happen on the should not happen on the very first place. In case it happen, yes, it can enhance or boost up your digital forensic or incident response process. I agree with that, but basically it will be more of a proactive defense, right? So it helps the organization to prepare for potential attacks before they can happen, right? It helps us for the early threat detection. So it identifies IOCs, indicator of compromises and malicious activity, can be helpful in threat hunting as well, right? It improves the incident response procedures. I agree with that, right? So it speed up your investigations and decision making processes, right? It helps us to understand attackers, provide you the insight into hackers, tactics, techniques, and procedures, which is also mentioned over here in the tactical part. We'll discuss about it, right? So it enhances your security strategies. So if I'm a threat hunter, let's suppose, okay, so I'll be using threat hunting, or sorry, threat intelligence to know about the IOCs and attackers, TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, like how they perform an attack. With this information, you know, I can hunt down or locate their um, position in the environment or detect them. Okay, threat hunting you can say is like your cops or police, and threat intelligence team give them the information, and they try to utilize it. They want to find the criminals in simple way. Okay, perfect. So it has four types: strategic, tactical, technical, and operational. Okay, if you see strategic, it's more of a something which is consumed by high, or you can say senior executives. Okay, high level executives and management. So they do not want deep details like this IP was used, this hash was identified. No, no, no. They just want the high level information. That's why it is mentioned high level, and it's for long term use. So basically, strategic is high level intelligence that can help decision makers, your high level executives, to understand the big picture of the cyber threat. So they'll work on the longer uh, term trend so that they can define the strategies as per that. So any risk assessment, emerging threat, rather than any specific attack, they look out for these things. So your executives, CISOs, policymakers, board members, they consume this kind of an intelligence. Okay, so for example, any report on a nation state hackers targeting financial institution to steal data, that can be there, right? Analysis of how AI powered cyber attacks will impact organization in next 5 years. These kind of things we are talking about over here. Okay, so for example, any CEO, just like a CEO reads economic trends to plan business strategies, so cybersecurity leaders they use strategic threat intelligence to make informed security investment and policies like that. Operational is also, tactical is also there, and operation is also there. Perfect. And technical, right? Tactical, if I talk about information attackers, TTPs. TTP stands for tactics. Sorry, TACTI. Techniques and procedures. Tactics means goal, agenda. Technique means how you're gonna achieve it, how you're gonna do that, right? So, for example, if my goal is to get the initial access into someone's system, so technique which will be used would be phishing, and procedure will be step by step approach. like first gathering the email ID, drafting the email, phishing email, sending it. Once the user click, what will happen? A malware will be transferred and so on. So step by step will be part of a procedure. So when you learn about those TTPs of an attacker, that is what a tactical intelligence stands for. That is consumed by IT service administrators and SOC managers. Then we have technical, which is consumed by the SOC staff. We talk about IOC over here, indicator of compromise. So more of a hardcore information are there. These are low level details. See, so it is for short term, and these are tactical was for long term. So technical would be short term, low level. IOCs are there, like IPs which are involved in an attack, hash values, domain names, URLs which are there. So that will be your technical, highly specific and technical data about cyber threats, like their IP address, malware hashes, domain names, which are used in the attacks. So these help your security tools to automate the detection and blocking of those threats. SOC analyst, they use it. Incident responder also, and the staff, entire staff as mentioned over here, they use it for real-time threat detection. Okay, so any list, for example, any list of IP addresses are there which are linked to a recent botnet attack, like that. The last is operation threat intelligence. So they give you the ongoing attack insight. So it's a real-time intelligence about active cyber attacks, threat actors, and ongoing incidents. It's high level, but for the short-term use. Okay. So it provides information on who is attacking, their motives, and their current target. So incident response team, security manager, network defender, uh, you know, they can use it. So intelligence, if, for example, like any intelligence that a specific hacking group is actively or is currently targeting healthcare organization or financial organization, that is like example for that. Okay, or any warning that a 0-day vulnerability or new vulnerability is being exploited in the wild, so that will be part of it. Okay, so that would be threat intelligence. Absolutely. See, Wireshark, when we're talking about Wireshark, um, it's a network protocol analyzer. Okay, yeah, it's a network protocol analyzer, and this thing is to basically capture, analyze, and troubleshoot your network traffic in real time. Okay, so it helps basically your cybersecurity professionals to inspect the packets which are in network, obviously, to detect any suspicious activity, and also to diagnose any network issue. Okay, clear. So basically it's quite often interesting to see modern networks, they're complex, and cyber threats, they often hide within legitimate traffic, right? So Wireshark provides deep visibility into network packets, helping the security teams and network administrator to identify any threats, to analyze the performance and debug if there is any issue present over there. Okay, so I'm just giving that image of Wireshark, how that looks like. I'll show you this as well in a practical way. This is how your Wireshark looks like, so the network traffics you can see, these are time, source IP, destination IP, protocols, information, these things are displayed over here. Can you see that? So three panes are there in the Wireshark. This is known as a top pane, middle pane, and bottom pane. So whatever the packet you select in the top pane, in respect to that, these details in the, you remember OSI or TCP IP layers, right? In respect to that, details will be displayed over here. See, frame, Ethernet, IP, transmission control protocol, right? So details will be displayed over here. Port number, destination port, and in hexadecimal format. And bottom pane, things will be displayed over here. So Wireshark is quite helpful in terms of network troubleshooting. For cybersecurity monitoring also, it detects malicious traffic, unauthorized access, and data exfiltration as well. It can be helpful. Performing in protocol analysis, packet analysis, okay, packet capture, cap- capture the live traffic of packets, you can say. So inspect the details of network packets. Protocol analysis understands over here how different network protocols like HTTP, TCP, DNS, etc. behave. Helpful in packet filtering, incident investigation. Helps in forensic analysis by tracking attack patterns, that can be useful over there as well. Okay. And lastly, for um, Splunk, a SIM solution, if we talk about. So Splunk, it's a SIM solution. It's a powerful data analytics and security information and event management tool, which is used for log management. It's a SIM, I highlighted over here, for log management, threat detection, right, and IT monitoring as well. Remember, heart of a SOC, right? Monitoring always will be there. So it collects, indexes, and analyzes machine generated data from various sources like your servers, applications, as I told you before, right? Network. So from various sources, it will collect the data and feed into it. So let's suppose this is your SIM. So from different sources, firewalls, database, web server, right? Router and so on. So from different um, sources, I would say, log sources, it collects the data, okay, and is helpful in terms of analyzing them using over there. Okay, that is what your Splunk does. Collect the data from different places, and then helpful in terms of detecting any threat going on over there. Monitoring, continuously monitoring it, so that if anything malicious goes on, it can help us to, it can raise an alarm and let us know that such kind of activities are happening over there. All right. So this Splunk, um, see, in organization, in our IT environment, we generate massive amount of logs and data, right? So without proper analytics, critical security incidents and your system issues can go unnoticed. So your SIM solution like Splunk, they help the organization to make sense of this data by searching, visualizing, and detecting patterns in real time. So it, as mentioned, so what it does, it gives you real time monitoring and dashboard where you can see that. So it detects security threats, system failures, any performance issues, over there instantly. Helpful in terms of detecting threat detection, see, as mentioned over here. So it identifies the malicious activities, any compliance violation like that. Log management can also be included over here, already mentioned over here. So log management analysis, so centralizes and organizes the logs from various sources for easy access. Helpful for investigating in the incidents. It helps the forensic analyst also and SOC teams to trace the attacks and system failures, right? Raise the alerts, notify everyone for the same, right? That's what your Splunk does, or your SIM solution does. So, okay, as I mentioned, see, imagine you have, you're managing a security for a smart city with thousands of surveillance cameras, right? Those cameras will be generating logs basically, right? So you have cameras for the smart city. Those cameras will be generating logs. Now in this one, your Splunk is like a high-tech security command center that collects and analyzes these footage, these logs, okay, from all the cameras. So instead of manually checking every camera, Splunk automatically detects suspicious behavior. Like for example, any person, um, you know, trying to steal something near a bank or trying, behaving suspicious over there. So if there's a robbery, cyber attack, anything like that, so Splunk provides a timeline of events also, what happened at what time, showing when the suspect entered into the network, their movements, their escape route, everything, right? So with the help of this, your SOC analysts, they can respond faster using Splunk real-time alerts instead of waiting for an incident report and everything like that. Okay. So just like the smart security centers ensures the secure city's safety, Splunk helps organizations secure their IT infra by providing deep visibility into system logs and security events. So it is helpful in terms of security monitoring, as I mentioned before, and detecting cyber threats. So it monitors your firewalls, IDs, endpoint logs to detect anomalies and attacks, right? So that they can detect any brute force login attempts, multiple login failure attempts, or any suspicious file access in real time, right? Performance monitoring can be done, so it can track the server's uptime, application performance, system health to prevent failures and downtime, right? So your IT admins, DevOps engineers, system operators can also utilize the SIM solution in that way. It can alert when a critical server is about to crash due to high CPU usage. These things can be done. Log management and compliance quite important. So it keeps the logs organized, centralized logs from firewalls, database, cloud service, and endpoints to ensure compliance with regulations like GDPR, PCI DSS, HIPAA, right? So it can store logs for auditing and tracking user access to sensitive data. All of these things are done, basically with the help of this one. So data ingestion, indexing, these are basically collection of logs only. So collect and processing of logs from various sources. Indexing, as in you might have seen in any book or in any novel, there is an index page, right? So in that index page, all your chapters and topics are marked with a page number so that you can quickly search it. Similarly, we index the data, making the searchable and structured for fast analysis, right? So yeah, these will be there in the Splunk. Okay. Now let me quickly show you a couple of bits. Just allow me a moment. Is my screen visible? Perfect. I'll open Wireshark over here first. So this is how your Wireshark looks like. You can download separate application in your Windows environment as well. That is doable. Here, so now, for example, see this Wireshark is started over here. Okay, one more instance was there, my bad. Okay, here it is. I'll open a browser. I'll write this thing. Sign in. I'll put username like admin and password also like admin and login. Now, can you see what kind of a website it is? HTTP or HTTPS? So that means the password which was entered can we see in the network? We always say the hackers is able to see that password, right? If it's HTTP. Yeah. So let's see how we can get that. If I go to Wireshark, can you see now network traffic has been, is this visible over here? See, TCP, if I try to scroll down or scroll up, HTTP is also there. Now, if I filter it, I can put a display filter. There you go. Isra, no, 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 I don't think so. Sorry about that. Yeah. So now you can see HTTP traffic is being filtered out over here. Now, multiple are there. You should know about these HTTP request headers, but anyway, I'm not diving much into this. Now, if I select this one, see, for example, if I select this one, frames, your physical layer is being displayed over here. See, Ethernet, which layer it would be? You can see MAC addresses over here. Which layer it would be? Then we can see IP, Internet Protocol, what that would be. Yes, network layer. Awesome. Are we able to see transmission control protocol? Source port, flags are being displayed over here. Port numbers are being displayed. Push X flag is being used over here. Timestamp, sequences. Which layer it would be? Transport layer. Absolutely. And finally, you can see application layer is also there. Hypertext. Yeah. See HTTP headers. You can see. So it's HTTP protocol. So you can see application header. Or sorry, HTTP header is there. Get request method is being made. User agent. User agent is okay. I'm just telling you this one. Host is the website which we access. Hostfire testfire.net. User agent is which browser is used to access the website. Firefox. Keshav, no, that is the thing. Mozilla, you won't say Mozilla. This thing is like a task for you. Research on that. Okay. There's the reason I told you. Firefox is displayed over here, see, and Mozilla is mentioned in the initial part. There's a reason for that. Look into that. Okay. It's interesting. You'll get to learn something interesting in this one. All right. Perfect. Now, if I show you a form which was over here, let me. Okay. Now, see, this tells you that we have visited this website and everything. Now we also submitted our credentials, right? Where that will be in your post. This one. You can see external form login is also considered like a form only, guys. Okay, that is also like a form only. All right. If I explore it out, expand it, can you see the user ID and password over here? Right. That's why it is mentioned and it is told you not to trust your HTTP website. This is the reason for that. Okay. So it will be like, quite complicated. You won't be able to read that. That's why it is secure. It will be encrypted. Clear? So basically, the real agenda of you showing this Wireshark is so that you can see how network traffic analysis, how network traffic looks like in it. This one is a display filter. You can look out for the stats, expert information protocol hierarchy, conversations, which IP has made, what all conversations and everything. Which all IPs and how many packets were sent. See everything from packet A to B, B to A, and so on. With this, if any IP with any one IP of lot of data has been exchanged, that can be a sign that it is a suspicious activity because maybe a data exfiltration is happening, right? Any malicious file has been downloaded from a domain, so that can be also suspicious. This is how your Splunk looks like. Oh, okay, anyway, no worries. Search and reporting and everything, just to show you, give you an idea about how Splunk looks like. Okay, skip it. I skip to. Okay, here it is. Right. So in this one, uh, yeah, this section is known as your application menu. That's too big. Okay. Yeah. Application. Hmm. It's not working. Anyway, app menu we call it. I'll let it slow. Okay. Application menu. So with the help of it, basically in this one, this is what we are talking about. You can switch between the application. You can put some application in Splunk. So it sits between the Splunk application that you have installed. Okay. So current application you can see it would be basically search one. Okay. Search and reporting because we clicked on that. All right. See current application displayed over here. Search and reporting it is. Then this is known as your Splunk bar. Okay. So it edit your with the help of it you can edit your Splunk configuration, view system level messages, get help on using the product like that. And this is known as your application bar. This third one, this is what I'm talking about. The application which you have selected, which is search and reporting. In respect to that, this is your application bar. The options of that application so that you can navigate between the different views in the application you are in for. Okay. So for the search and reporting app, the views are like your application would be having search, analytics, datasets, reports, alerts, dashboard. These are options application bar. Application bar is the bar of the application which you have selected. So right now the application which you have selected is search and reporting. In respect to that, this is an application bar. Okay, clear? And this is your application menu. Do not get confused. And this is your Splunk bar. Clear? And this is your search bar over here. This is search bar basically. You specify your search criteria over here. Okay, you write your search queries, search criteria over here. As per that, you get the results. All right. This is your timeline over here. This will be your timeline. Time range picker, we call it basically. So you specify the time period for the search, like the last 20 minutes, one day, yesterday, or last 24 hours, like that. Or all time can also be there. Okay. And here's your search history. If you have made any searches before, so it will show you the history. Mine is quite new because I reinstalled it. So that's why. Okay. For example, if I show you the logs, so it took the source app automatically, and you can see the logs. There you go. Can you see now logs are being mentioned? Timeline, logs, yeah, session IDs, category ID. No, Miraj, we are not covering that. Method, see get request, URI category, session ID, category ID equals to T. Something looks like it's an e-commerce website, isn't it? User agent as well. If you see categories, we get these interesting field from where you can just, get the shortcut and you can get those results over here quickly. So interesting fields are also there. So it's a field sidebar basically that displays the list of fields which are discovered in these all events. Password underscore failed. So failed attempts you can see are also there, isn't it? Anyway, so even if I put like queries, these are search basic search area where you can put those query. Category ID if I put in logs you might have seen category ID was there. So if I write sports, something like this, I'll get only the results for the sports category C being highlighted over here. Got an idea how your Splunk looks like and how it works? You can create an alert actually with your search queries. I'm not showing that much detail in the right now. But yeah, if you write a search query, as per that, you can create save as an alert as well. So what will happen if that similar activity happens next time? It will raise an alert and notify you. That's how these things are also done. Yeah, in different instances, show it can be done. Yeah, but in one place, if you write one, then what will happen? It will take that as one input. But you can open multiple instances, and you can do that. That can be done.